I never imagined I'd be sipping poisoned tea, prepared lovingly by my own wife, while she slipped away to be with my younger brother. The signs were there, but love can make you blind. Or maybe it just makes you stupid. Because by the time I figured it all out, I was too weak to walk, too numb to fight back, and too heartbroken to care. But this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about what happens when lust meets ambition, and death becomes a tool of convenience. To my amazing subscribers, thank you for always being here. If you've been following these gripping true-to-life tales, make sure you turn on your notifications so you never miss another upload. And if you're new here, subscribe now to support this channel and bring you more intense, romantic, and dramatic stories based on real human emotions and dark decisions. You won't regret it. There was always something comforting about the way Natalie made my tea. It wasn't anything fancy, just green tea with a splash of lemon and honey. But somehow, it always hit the spot. Especially after a long day working at the school board office, where the politics were heavier than the paperwork. I used to sit out on our back porch in the quiet North Carolina evening, sip that tea, and think, God, I'm lucky. That was before I realized she was slowly killing me with it. But let me back up. My name is Daniel West. I'm 48, white, born and raised right here in the sleepy outskirts of Raleigh. I spent 20 years as a school administrator, climbed the ranks, and had what most people would call a decent life. A beautiful house, a stable job, a loyal wife, or so I thought, and a younger brother I always tried to look out for. Natalie and I had been married for 13 years. We met at a teacher training conference, and from the beginning, there was something magnetic about her. She had these sharp green eyes, the kind that studied you like a riddle, and a laugh that could light up a whole room. She wasn't from around here, originally from Michigan, but she adapted to Southern living like she was born for it. She started her own online wellness shop, herbal teas, natural supplements, yoga videos, all that kind of thing. I didn't understand most of it, but I supported her. And for a while, life was good. Then Carter came back into the picture. Carter's my little brother. He's 8 years younger, always the charming screw-up. Where I was the responsible one, he was the one who dropped out of college, chased dreams, and showed up with stories instead of stability. The last I heard, he had tried his hand at real estate, then bartending, then some online crypto thing that blew up in his face. So when he called me last spring and asked if he could crash with us for a while, I didn't think twice. Natalie actually said yes before I did. Of course he can stay, she said. Family is family. We set him up in the guest house behind our backyard. Just a little cottage-style place I used for storage and projects. Natalie helped decorate it for him, even cooked him dinner the night he arrived. Looking back now, I see it. That first night, the way they laughed a little too easily together. How he complimented her cooking, her hair, even her damn candles. And how she smiled just a bit too long. But at the time, I was just happy to see my brother again. It felt like things were falling into place. Until I started getting sick. It wasn't sudden. Just little things at first. I was tired all the time. Had headaches that felt like someone was clamping my skull in a vice. My stomach was off. I lost weight, but not in a good way. Natalie said it was stress. You've been pushing yourself too hard, she told me, rubbing my shoulders. Here, take these. They'll help. She handed me some of her new supplements, capsules made from some exotic-sounding root I couldn't even pronounce. All natural, she said. Better than anything you'd get from a pharmacy. I took them because I trusted her. Because she was my wife. Because when someone brings you tea every evening with that same warm smile, you don't think she's trying to kill me. You just think I'm lucky to have her. Stupid, right? As the weeks went on, my symptoms got worse. My hair started thinning. My joints ached. I had dizzy spells so bad I nearly fell in the shower one morning. I went to the doctor twice, but they couldn't figure it out. Could be a viral thing, one said. Maybe something autoimmune. Let's run more tests. Natalie would always come with me, hold my hand in the waiting room, bring a smoothie for the ride home. The perfect, devoted wife. But some nights, when I was half asleep on the couch, I'd hear her slip out the back door. I thought maybe she was going to the guest house, maybe checking on Carter or getting something. And maybe I didn't want to know. There's a kind of numbness that creeps in when your body's failing and you can't explain it. You stop asking questions. You just exist. But even in that fog, one moment stuck with me. It was a Tuesday. I'd come home early from work, stomach cramping, sweating through my shirt. Natalie was out, said she had a delivery for her shop. I dragged myself to the back porch to lie down. And I saw them, Carter and Natalie, standing a little too close under the oak tree at the edge of the yard. She had her hand on his chest. He leaned in and said something that made her laugh, that slow, sultry laugh I used to think was mine. They didn't kiss, not then. But they didn't have to. That night, the tea tasted sweeter than usual. I drank it anyway. They say you can't truly know a man until you live with him. Well, I already thought I knew Carter. I raised him, in some ways. After our dad passed, I stepped into the role he never asked for. Paid off some of Carter's debts. Got him out of legal trouble. And when he needed a place to land, I opened my home to him, no questions asked. But there should have been questions. After that Tuesday, after I saw Natalie with her hand on Carter's chest, I tried to shake it off. Told myself it was just a friendly moment. A bad angle. A trick of the mind. I didn't want to believe what I was starting to feel. That my own wife and my own brother were drifting towards something that had no business blooming under my roof. The next week, Natalie cooked a big dinner, Carter's favorite, of course. Chicken parmesan with roasted garlic potatoes. She made 3 places at the table. Candlelight. Wine. Almost like a celebration. I've been thinking, she said between bites. We should just let Carter stay a while longer. He's doing great, helping out around the house, and, well, you know he's family. Carter gave me that lazy, charming grin. I don't want to be a burden, Dan. Just until I figure things out, that's all. I forced a smile. Sure, man. Whatever you need. I wanted to believe it, too. But something shifted that night. After dinner, I went to lie down, my stomach was turning again, and my limbs felt like sandbags. Natalie came to tuck me in like I was some kind of child. She kissed my forehead, brushed my hair back. I'll check on Carter, she whispered. He said he had questions about his job applications. She left the room with a little hum in her throat. No hesitation. And I just lay there, listening to the soft pad of her feet across the floor, the creak of the back door opening, then closing. After that, her nighttime check-ins became a pattern. It didn't happen every night, but often enough. Always with an excuse. Just helping him sort paperwork. Showing him some herbal blends for sleep. One time she even said, "He's going through a lot emotionally, Daniel. You wouldn't understand." And maybe that was the truth. Maybe I didn't understand. Because while I was deteriorating physically, they were thriving. Glowing, even. Natalie's skin looked smoother. Carter started jogging in the mornings, shirtless, like he owned the damn place. And me? I could barely stand without holding onto the wall. I lost 12 pounds in a month. My hands trembled when I held a coffee mug. My memory began slipping. I once called a student by the wrong name 3 times in a meeting, and the superintendent pulled me aside to ask if I was okay. I told him I was. I lied. Because what was I supposed to say? My wife is poisoning me and sleeping with my brother, but I haven't caught them yet, so please keep that between us. Instead, I tried to fix it quietly. I stopped taking the capsules Natalie gave me, but I kept pretending I did. I'd slip them under my tongue, then spit them into a napkin when she wasn't looking. I stopped drinking the tea, too, pretending I'd finished it while she was out of the room. For a week, things didn't change much. But by the second week, I felt a difference. The headaches dulled. The nausea lessened. I didn't feel good, exactly, but I felt like I was starting to come up for air. That's when I knew. Natalie's help wasn't helping at all. It was hurting. On purpose. And Carter. Carter wasn't just her emotional support. One night, around 2 a.m., I woke up and couldn't get back to sleep. I walked slowly, carefully, through the house, barefoot. I stepped onto the back deck and looked across the yard. The guest house light was on. Now, Natalie had said she was heading to bed an hour earlier. Even brought me some peppermint oil to rub on my neck. But there she was, clear as day, through the sheer white curtain in Carter's window. Her silhouette. His shadow behind her. And the unmistakable shape of them kissing. I stumbled back into the house, heart pounding, bile in my throat. My knees buckled and I landed hard on the couch. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there. Frozen. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the intention behind it. The quiet, methodical destruction. Natalie wasn't just cheating. She was replacing me. Day by day, dose by dose, kiss by kiss. She wanted me gone. Not divorced. Not separated. Gone. Dead. The next morning, she acted normal. Cheerful. Kissed my cheek. Asked how I slept. Offered me some anti-inflammatory blend that smelled like vinegar and rot. I took the mug. Stared into it. And asked, "What's in this one?" She smiled. "Just some things from the garden." "You trust me, right?" I stared at her. And lied. "Of course I do." But that's when I made the decision. If she wanted to play this slow game, I'd play it too. I wouldn't confront her. Not yet. I'd watch. I'd wait. Because sometimes, you have to let the villain feel safe before you strike. And I knew something she didn't. I was done being her victim. If you're hearing this and wondering why I didn't call the police right then and there, I get it. I've wondered that myself. But this wasn't just betrayal, it was layered, careful, and legal proof. There wasn't a body, no evidence, no bruises. Just my gut. Just slow poisoning, emotional warfare, and my wife's late-night visits to my brother's bed. You don't go to the police with a story like that unless you've got hard facts. And I had none. Not yet. So I stayed quiet. Smiled through dinner. Took the poison she poured. Spit it out when she left the room. I started stashing those capsules, the ones she called supplements, in a mason jar in the back of my office closet. Same with the tea bags. I labeled everything, dated them. It was risky, but if I was right, I'd need proof later. And if I was wrong? Then at least I wasn't dying anymore. One Saturday afternoon, Carter offered to help me in the garage. Said he wanted to catch up like old times. We lifted boxes, cleaned shelves, and rearranged tools I hadn't touched in months. He was all charm, all smiles. But I knew now, those grins were masks. And I started noticing things I hadn't before. Like how he always kept his phone on silent when Natalie was home. Or how her perfume lingered stronger in the guest house than in our bedroom. And the way he'd glance at me like I was already fading from the picture, like I was just a ghost haunting my own life. Still, I played along. You and Natalie seem to get along real well these days, I said, acting casual. He chuckled. She's just sweet like that, you know. Yeah, I said, lifting a heavy box to a shelf. She's sweet. There was a flicker in his eyes then, just a split second of discomfort. He turned away quickly, fiddling with some old garden gloves. That was confirmation enough for me. Later that night, I did something I'd never done in our marriage. I went through Natalie's phone. She was in the shower, humming to herself, some slow, sultry tune like she was in a damn romance movie. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I opened it. No password. Stupid mistake. There was a text. Carter, he doesn't suspect anything. You're incredible. I love you. I scrolled up. They had code names for each other. Wanderer and Flame. Gag-worthy. But more than that, they were planning. Talks about life insurance. About waiting just a little longer. One message chilled my blood. Natalie, the drops in the tea are enough to keep him weak. We just need patience. A few more months, and everything's ours. The drops. That wasn't the capsules. That was something else. I took a screenshot. Then another. Then another. My hands were shaking, but I kept going. I wanted everything. Then I saw it. A video. It wasn't long. Maybe 15 seconds. But it was them. In Carter's bed. Her hand in his hair. His mouth on her neck. Whispering things I can't even repeat. I dropped the phone like it burned me. My vision swam. It's one thing to suspect infidelity. It's another to see it, in the house you bought, under the roof you paid for, on sheets you'd given them as a gift when he first moved in. She came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, her wet hair hanging down her back. She saw me sitting there, staring straight ahead, her phone lying open next to me. Her smile faltered. You okay, baby? I looked at her. And I lied again. Just tired. She climbed into bed like nothing happened. Kissed my cheek. Her skin smelled like vanilla and betrayal. The next morning, I contacted an old friend, Marshall, a retired cop turned private investigator. I told him I needed help. Discreetly. He asked no questions. Just said, send me what you've got. I sent everything. And I told him, I'm not ready to bring them down. Not yet. I want to know everything. He said he'd dig. That gave me a new kind of energy. The kind that comes from rage buried under calm. I started watching them closely. Natalie would put 3 drops of something clear into my tea each night. Same little bottle. No label. Always 3 drops. Sometimes 2 if she thought I was suspicious. I replaced the tea. Poured it out. Took photos of the bottle. One day while she was grocery shopping, I brought the vial to a local lab. Told them it was for a school chemistry project and I needed a toxicity report. They said it would take 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Carter was growing bold. I caught him one afternoon in my office, looking through my desk drawer. Said he was just grabbing a pen. I didn't confront him. Just smiled. He didn't know I had a camera hidden behind the bookshelf now. He didn't know I'd started recording everything. The game had changed. I was no longer dying. I was hunting. And the hunters didn't know they'd just become the prey. 2 weeks later, the lab called. The voice on the other end was calm, professional. Mr. West? We completed the analysis. The substance you brought in, it contains a blend of herbal sedatives, but also traces of digitalis. I froze. What does that mean? It's extracted from foxglove. In small amounts, it can weaken the heart. In higher doses, especially over time, it can be fatal. Fatal. They weren't just slowly poisoning me. They were setting the stage to finish the job. That night, I stared across the dinner table at Natalie. She looked radiant. Hair curled. Red lips. Candlelight glowing on her skin. She was everything I once loved. And everything I now hated. As she poured the tea, she smiled. "You've been looking better lately, babe. Those supplements must be working." I looked her in the eye. Raised the cup. And didn't drink. Instead, I smiled back and said, "You're right. I feel like a brand new man." Because I was. And the curtain on her little performance was about to fall. When a man's been betrayed, by his wife, by his own blood, there comes a moment when grief turns to focus, and pain turns into cold, clear purpose. That moment hit me the night I got the lab results. I was done being the victim. Natalie and Carter thought they were scripting a love story. But I was writing the ending, and this time, I held the pen. Let me take a step back. If you've made it this far, I owe you the whole truth. My name is Daniel West. I'm a 46-year-old contractor from Ashland, Oregon. Been building homes most of my life, until one winter morning my heart gave out, or at least that's what the doctors thought. I passed out in my driveway. Collapsed like a sack of bricks. The hospital said it was stress. Malnutrition. Maybe a virus. What they didn't know was that my own wife had been dropping poison into my tea for weeks. Maybe months. And the woman who once nursed me back from a surgery was now slowly walking me to my grave with a smile on her face. Carter, my younger brother by 9 years, had always been the charming one. The golden boy. And when his landscaping business failed and he needed a place to stay, of course I let him stay with us. That's what big brothers do. But Natalie had always liked charm. And I hadn't seen it then, but they were laughing too much, whispering too closely, lingering in rooms together too long. And I, the fool, had mistaken it for family bonding. Not anymore. I worked with Marshall, the retired cop I mentioned, to set up a strategy. Marshall had been through cases uglier than mine. Dirty divorces, secret affairs, even life insurance fraud. He didn't flinch when I told him I was being poisoned by my wife and my brother. "We'll get them," he said. But not with yelling. With evidence. He installed more hidden cameras, tiny, motion-triggered ones, in the guest house, the kitchen, and even one inside a potted plant in our bedroom. We placed audio recorders in my office and in the living room. The plan was simple: let them feel comfortable. Let them talk. Then catch them. Meanwhile, I played the part of the recovering husband. I drank tea in front of Natalie, pretending to be tired and groggy. I let her believe I was slipping again. I let Carter believe I was clueless. What neither of them knew was that I had replaced the liquid in the dropper bottle with plain water. The real poison was in a ziplocked bag in a hidden safe in the garage, next to copies of their texts, lab reports, and a USB drive of recorded video clips. Marshall said, "You're not just building a case. You're building an iron wall. They won't even see the courtroom before the DA takes one look and cuts a deal." I was finally starting to believe I might survive this. Not just live, but win. Then came the moment I'd been waiting for. A Tuesday afternoon. Natalie thought I was out meeting a client. Carter had no clue Marshall was watching the guest house from his car down the block. The camera caught everything. Natalie showed up with wine. No glasses, just the bottle. She wore one of my old button-up shirts and nothing underneath. Carter opened the door shirtless. I didn't need to see what happened after. But I watched anyway. Not out of jealousy. Out of rage. Cold, quiet, calculating rage. Later that night, when Natalie curled up beside me like nothing had happened, I whispered, you know what I was thinking about today? She smiled against my shoulder. What's that, babe? Death, I said softly. She laughed. That's morbid. But I wasn't smiling. Yeah. Just how easy it is for someone to disappear, and no one would ever know why. She tensed a little. And I knew, for the first time, that she was afraid of me. Good. Let her be. The next day, I visited my lawyer. His name's Tom Haggerty, he's been our family attorney since before Natalie and I got married. I didn't tell him the whole story, just the parts that mattered for now. I want to change my will, I said. Everything goes to charity if I die under suspicious circumstances. None of it to Natalie. Not a cent. Tom raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. I also want a divorce prepared, I added. Ready to sign. But hold on to it. I'll tell you when. He nodded. You okay, Dan? I looked him in the eye. I will be. That weekend, Natalie suggested we go on a trip, just to clear your mind, she said. Let's rent a cabin in the mountains, just us. I smiled and agreed. She thought it was her chance to finish the job. A remote cabin, no cell service, no neighbors for miles. I saw it in her eyes. But I was ready. Marshall followed at a distance. A satellite phone hidden in my bag. A camera disguised as a power bank. When we arrived, she cooked. Lit candles. Made tea. I let her bring me the cup. Watched her carefully. 3 drops. Stir. Smile. Drink up, babe. But this time, I didn't pretend. I set the cup down. What's wrong? She asked, trying to keep her voice sweet. You first, I said. You drink it. She froze. Her smile broke for the first time in weeks. She knew. I picked up the cup and walked outside. Marshall was waiting in the trees, recording everything. We had it. I came back inside, placed the cup on the table, and looked her dead in the eye. You think I didn't know? I whispered. I know about you and Carter. I know about the tea. I know everything. She paled. And for the first time, Natalie, the woman I once called my soulmate, sat down like she'd been shot. I don't know what you're talking about, she whispered. Save it for the cops. She opened her mouth to argue, but the front door opened, and Marshall stepped in with a badge and a warrant. It was over. They didn't take her away in handcuffs, not that night. But the evidence we handed over, video, audio, the tainted herbal bottles, was more than enough to start the case. Marshall knew the DA personally. Said they'd move fast. And sure enough, by Tuesday morning, Natalie was served with a restraining order and a notice to appear. But what hurt more than seeing her go pale in that kitchen was what came next. Carter. I asked to speak to him man to man. He agreed. Probably out of guilt, or maybe arrogance. He walked into my garage like he owned the place. Still had that swagger. Still wore that fake smile. You look better, he said, nodding toward me. I'm not dying anymore, I replied. He laughed nervously. Yeah. Guess that's good. I didn't offer him a seat. Just stared. Why her, Carter? I finally asked. Why my wife? My home? You could have gone anywhere. He rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't plan it, man. It just happened. Did you know she was poisoning me? He hesitated. That was all I needed. You knew, I said. You didn't stop it. I didn't help her, he snapped. I didn't put anything in your drinks. I swear. But you stayed. You slept with her. You let her play this sick game. He didn't respond. I stepped forward, eye to eye. Do you understand what you've done? You didn't just betray me, Carter. You abandoned me when I needed family most. I loved her, he muttered. No. You helped her kill me. The criminal case against Natalie was slow-moving. Lawyers spun webs, tried to say it was all misunderstandings, stress, miscommunication. They called it natural holistic healing gone wrong. But the lab results didn't lie. Nor did the texts we uncovered. 3 drops in his tea every night. He's coughing more now. Won't be long. Once he's gone, everything's ours. The DA offered her a deal, no trial, but 5 years minimum for attempted manslaughter by poisoning. She took it. I didn't go to sentencing. I didn't want to see her face. Carter? He got nothing legally. No charges. No jail. But he got exiled. I told him never to contact me again. I made sure his business name was known around town. Word travels fast in Ashland. His so-called charm couldn't save him from public disgust. He left the state a month later. I haven't seen him since. And me? I sold the house. It wasn't a home anymore. Just 4 walls full of ghosts and betrayal. I live in a smaller place now, on the edge of town. Simple. Clean. Quiet. The kind of space where I can hear myself think. I go on hikes. I cook my own meals now. And every time I brew tea, I smile at the irony. Marshall still checks in now and then. Says I should write a book. Maybe I will. But this story, this one, I had to share here first. With you. Because somewhere out there, someone might be in the same place I was, sick and tired and confused, wondering why life feels like it's draining drop by drop. If that's you, trust your instincts. Look closer. Listen to the silence between the I love yous. You might hear the truth screaming underneath. People ask me if I still believe in love. I don't have an easy answer. I believe in loyalty. I believe in second chances. But love? Love was the poison I drank every night, believing it would heal me, when it was slowly killing me instead. Natalie will be out in a few years. She'll be younger than I was when this all started. Maybe she'll try to write her version of the story. Paint herself the victim. But here? In my voice? You've heard the real thing. A man betrayed. A marriage broken. And a truth buried beneath herbs and lies. But I'm still standing. And sometimes, that's enough. I was supposed to die quietly. In my bed. With a belly full of poison and a wife holding my hand, pretending to cry. But instead, I lived. And now, I have to live with the truth I uncovered. To my loyal subscribers, thank you. You've followed me through the darkest corridors of this twisted love story. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and share this channel. It helps bring more true, raw, and dramatic life stories into the light. That's the END.